My wiring is a little odd. I can't tell direction, which of course drives my wife crazy. I don't know left from right. I'm constantly going the wrong way. And until Google Maps, I lived in a constant state of lost. It's funny, just try and recall the last time you were lost and then try to imagine a whole life in that state. And that's what my life was before Google Maps. And then Apple took away Google Maps, so for about 6 months I was back. I was lost again. Apple is losing its aura. But now Google Maps are back and I'm no longer lost. In addition to being in a constant state of lost, I can't memorize anything. Everything seems to be like a flood of words flowing through. And I've never been good, I'm not really good at reading, and I'm just totally always bad at memorization. I was kicked out of grade school once for not doing the Pledge of Allegiance. I just couldn't remember the words. So I've written stuff down here, and I'm going to go through it, and just bear with me, okay? I'll probably be the only person here who's going to be reading to you, so it'll be an exotic experience, if not a clumsy one. So you have already seen some amazing, an amazing video. You're going to see tons of other visuals today, and they'll be rich and awesome. I'm not going to do that. I'm really going to be talking about concepts and words, and I'll be up at 30,000 feet for about 15 minutes. Bear with me. I'll be talking strictly about ideas, concepts, and dogmas. I do have, at the very end, I do have a video, and it's a clip from Zero Dark 30, the movie, which, by the way, got really robbed at the Academy Awards. It's so much better than Argo. I mean, let's face it. And the ideas that I talk about in creative intelligence in the book are really all in this movie. Actually, they're all in this 50-second clip of Zero Dark 30. So at the end of my discussion, I'm going to play this clip, then kind of deconstruct it for you to show you some of the ideas in creative intelligence, and then they'll pull me off the stage, okay? So let me try and do that, and start right now. So here's a quote from a guy named Frank Knight, who's actually a very famous economist known for options trading. But he also did other things. He thought about the world at large. And I'll read the quote along with you. The chief thing which the common sense individual actually wants is not satisfaction for the wants that he has, but more and better wants. More and better wants. Higher order wants. So for Knight, and I think for all of us, a social change is the source of these higher order wants and actually provides the opportunity to profit from them. And we all know that today we're living through a period of incredible social change. I call it VUCA. VUCA is a time of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And we all know that this is this time, right? It's changing our lives, our jobs, our careers, certainly our businesses, all the models, and it makes us want to scream. Thank you, Neil, for using my slide earlier. I really appreciate that. But I have 3 to your 1, so there you go. Again, by disrupting all of our social and political and business institutions, VUCA is changing everything. And it's generating the opportunity for more and better wants. Now, I want to make clear, wants are not needs. Wants are aspirations. They're actually dreams. Here's a picture of me. I was recently in India where they had a Dream-In conference. It was a fascinating thing. They took about 300 or 400 students from design and management schools and taught them how to do videography and interviewing and sent them out to interview about 3,000 or 4,000 Indians in small villages and towns. And they asked them about their dreams, right? And they came back and they collated the dreams, and the 4 top dreams in this population in India were more education for people who had been in school and had been forced to leave, starting a business, imagine dreaming of starting a business, serving the nation, and women's rights. Okay? People didn't dream of better housing. They didn't dream of cleaner water, and they didn't dream of food. These were sort of their needs. Their higher order wants were more education, starting a business, serving the nation, and women's rights. So, you know, if you ask people about their needs, they'll give you a list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you ask them in the morning, they'll give you a list. If you ask them in the evening, they'll give you another list. If you ask them about their dreams, they'll give you 1. They may give you 2. Dreams are more and better wants. They are meaningful to people. And I think the key issue before us is knowing what is truly meaningful to people, understanding their higher wants. And the key challenge ahead of us is learning how to fulfill these higher order wants. So I've been traveling a lot lately, hawking my book. So I've been to Google and Microsoft, been all around the country. I'm off to Oslo tomorrow. And I have a pretty clear picture now of the models of innovation and design that businesses and nonprofits are using to try and deal with higher order wants. And what I'd like to do today, very quickly, is go through these models. I call them the dogmas of design. And at the end of this, I'd like to propose a new model, a new dogma, based on creative intelligence. And we'll call that the dogma of creativity. As I go through this in true Pecha Kucha style, I'm going to also give you a list of old dogma concepts and new dogma creativity concepts and compare the two. And then we'll end with a little clip of Zero Dark 30. And I hope that'll work. And I hope I don't drop all these pages here, which will really be clumsy. So here we go. The oldest dogma the oldest dogma of design is what I call the Gift Dogma. It's a model of innovation that's really the favorite of tech and consumer companies, actually most companies. And it frames design as a gift. It's a gift from really smart people, usually engineers, who invent cool stuff and then throw it over the wall to consumers. Along the way, in flight, they may have some designers prettify it. They may have some marketers, take a look at it. They may do some market research, some focus group research. But in the end, you have people creating a gift and tossing it into the marketplace, hoping people will like it. And if they do, great. And if they don't, oops. Now, I've had a lot of engineers and researchers say to me, people don't really know what they want until we give it to them. And the fact is, they have a point. If you look at the major innovations in our lives that have affected our lives, Google, Amazon, Spotify, Twitter, all of that stuff, most of them have come from young entrepreneurs who embody the values and knowledge of their generation. They succeed by mining the existential wants of their generation and give as gifts these new products and services to members, mostly of their generation. So the rest of us, who may not be part of their generation, can come along or not. Now, the gift model works okay, but as Valentine's Day shows, sometimes it doesn't work. Even when you think you know someone, it may not be true. When you go outside the population that you embody, when you go outside the people whose values and knowledge you embody, the chances of giving a gift successfully go down. When you go to strangers, it goes down even further. So here's a wonderful thing. Google Glass. It's the dream, it's the wet dream of an engineer, right? And it's true. I look forward to playing with it. But to someone who doesn't share those values, what does that mean when you come up to them with Google Glass on? It means perhaps you're invading their privacy. Perhaps you're taping something. Perhaps you're sharing an image. Perhaps it scares you. So the gift dogma can really backfire. Let's go on to another dogma, the thinking dogma. This is now the most widespread dogma of design today. It frames design as a process. The thinking dogma flips the gift model around and starts with user needs first, and then goes to innovation to fulfill them. It's totally cool. It's a great change. Also, the thinking dogma of design expands the application of design from physical objects to experiences and services. Again, it's a huge plus. This is what we're talking about when we're talking about design thinking, a huge plus. Yet we've also learned that the thinking dogma is somewhat limited. Creativity turns out to be relational and lateral, not explosive and random. So brainstorming, which is really integral to the thinking dogma, doesn't work all that well. Brainstorming 100 or 1,000 new ideas doesn't lead to originality with a lot of value. Connecting 2 or 3 dots really does. Eyeglasses, new technology, cheap gives you Warby Parker, right? Books and new technology gives you Amazon. It's 2 or 3 dots that really gives you that power, that huge power. So that doesn't work all that well. Meeting the unmet needs, which is really a big part of the dogma of thinking, well, it's not meaningful to a lot of people who have higher order needs, who have higher order wants. And finally, the process methodology of the thinking dogma, which is so attractive to businesses who have a culture of process, that can be problematic. Looking at design and creativity as a funnel through which you push stuff and innovation comes out the other end can actually stultify creativity and innovation and lead often to marginal or incremental innovation. So after, I would say, 10, almost 15 years now of the thinking dogma, what do we have? We have this. This is a killer number. Only 9% of all US public and private corporations do any kind of product or service innovation. All right? Just look at that number. I mean, we're here, we're in New York, we live a life that we consider completely innovative and creative, but the fact of the matter is when you do the actual statistics, only 9% of US corporations, public and private, do any kind of product or service innovation. So something has got to be wrong. Something has got to be wrong with the dogmas of design. So let's move on to one of my favorite dogmas of design, the dogma of doing good, social innovation. That's the hottest dogma of design these days, and it frames design as helping, using the principles and tools of design to help poor people in Asia and Africa, Latin America. The dogma of design, the dogma of doing good is hugely popular. It's certainly popular at Parsons where I teach. It's popular in a lot of business schools now. And it's good, it's really good. It breaches the wall between profit and non-profit, market and non-market, philanthropy and commerce. Social innovation is transforming how we think, really, about capitalism and charity, integrating them, even as it delivers sometimes water, food, and housing to those who need it. But who determines those needs? The giver or the recipient? How do you scale their delivery? And just what is actually meaningful to people if they have dreams and aspirations? And finally, why is the dogma of doing good mostly applied to the poor outside the US and rarely applied here? So those are the pluses and the minuses of the major dogmas of design. And I think we could do better. We could build on the wonderful foundation that these dogmas of design have given us to build a better dogma. And I'd like to call it the dogma of creativity. The reason why I'm using the word creativity after covering design for decades is that the fact of the matter is after all this time, design, the word design, still remains very narrow and exclusive and off-putting to lots of people in the country and certainly in business. When you talk about design, my experience is when you talk about design to people who are not designers, they kind of lean back a little bit and they'll listen to you and hear you out, but they're like this. When you talk about creativity, they'll warm up a little bit. They'll lean in a little bit. They may have anxiety about their own creativity. There was this research done a couple of years ago where they associated the word creativity with different other words. And people associated creativity with the word poison. My favorite is they associated the word creativity with the word vomit, right? Because it made them a little anxious and sick to their stomach. So there are problems with creativity too, right? The word. So, I like creativity. I'm going to put up a slide that sort of compares the old concepts, new concepts. I'll do this very quickly, and then we'll go to the movie. We talk a lot about user experience. That's really the prevailing. Experience is a very passive concept. People engage today. They create. They participate. I think UE is a better concept than UX. We talk about needs. We really need to talk about higher order wants. Empathy is great, but deep cultural meaning requires more than empathy. It requires hard work and understanding. Knowing that we embody certain things, and the things we don't embody, we have to immerse ourselves in those 10,000 hours of understanding. There's a lot of talk about story. In my book, I take story to task and say, we have to go deeper. Narrative is a better concept than story. Narrative gives us context and meaning. So I'd replace story with narrative. Brainstorming, we've talked about technology. We all talk about technology in terms of innovation, but really it's aura, what beckons us, what pulls us. That makes a great product, what makes a great family of products. I think love, in many ways, is a better metaphor for innovation and change than technology, because love is the epitome of what beckons and holds us together for a long period of time. Go through big business capitalism. We really need to replace that with indie capitalism. Indie capitalism is really Kickstarter capitalism. You know, we're really changing. Kickstarter, in my view, is the most important capitalist change in organization of the last 100 years. And it's something that we really have to take very seriously. The others, fine. I have one more slide. This is the slide of the Dogma of Creativity. These are the creative competencies that I have in my book. I talk a lot about knowledge mining. We mine our own embodiment. We mine what others have. We have to immerse ourselves. Framing. We frame our narratives. We frame our engagement. I'm going to do that with this movie in just a moment. Playing is much more important than failing fast and failing often. The fetishism of failing just makes me sick. What else is down there? I've got to go look over here. Making. We have a whole revival of the making culture, hugely important. Design thinking really took us away from the making. We outsourced all the making. We've got to get back to that. And then pivoting, by pivoting I mean scaling. There's no point in creating something, in my view, if you don't go from creativity to creation. Creativity, creation, capitalism. Those are the three key concepts in my book. Okay, now let's play some movies.
What else have you done for us besides Bin Laden?
I've done nothing else.
The movie takes you behind the scenes on the decade-long hunt that led to finding the world's most dangerous man.
I want to make something absolutely clear. There's nobody else coming to the rescue. There was just us.
No one really knows what it's like to disappear into the shadows as a CIA operative in that part of the world.
I need a favor.
Why I should help you? How come you only call me when you need help?
How about a V10 Lamborghini? I just need a phone number.
There were a lot of people across the world involved in the hunt for Bin Laden.
We're within 10 meters of it. He's here somewhere.
We couldn't capture every aspect of that, but we tried to capture the scope.
He's called from 6 different payphones from 2 different cities, never using the same phone twice.
The Al-Qaeda operative's behavior was so specific and designed to avoid detection that it led the CIA to them.
He's living in a city. You can't run a global network of interconnected cells from a cave.
Okay, so one of the most important creative competencies that I talk about in my book is framing. The CIA framed Osama bin Laden as someone who was inaccessible, living up in a cave, right? That was their frame, their narrative frame. Maya, the CIA analyst, challenged that frame. She reframed it. She said, wait a minute, he's running an international organization based on information. You can't do that in a city, in a cave. You can do that in a city. So she reframed the narrative story of the CIA from his being inaccessible in a cave to his being in a city. That's hugely powerful. Then she also reframed the CIA's engagement frame with him. In the movie, they're saying, you know, what we have to do is engage him by getting the suicide bombers, it's my New York accent, bombers, before they kill us. That's how they engaged him. They looked for those people. She said, if he's here, if he's in a city, if he's running an organization based on information, look for people who provide him with information. So they began engaging him by looking for the courier. And that's how, in the end, they found him. So huge change in the frames of engagement and of narrative. That's how the CIA got him, and that's how Maya did it. Maya was an outsider, kind of. The other thing I like about this clip, and then I'll end on that, is the V10 Lamborghini. Right? So they need this telephone number, this cell phone number, from a Pakistani guy who has it, right? And what do they offer him, right? Do they offer him money? Do they offer him, you know, a BMW? Somehow, the CIA agent was able to get into his culture and find out what was meaningful to that guy. And what was meaningful to that guy was a V10 Lamborghini. Okay? Totally awesome and totally necessary. So the movie captures a lot of the concepts that I deal with in my book, and you could either read the book or see the movie. Thank you very much.